Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan, and today I'm going to be reviewing an old, obscure, low-budget kung fu feature because why not? I like this genre and I feel like I don't visit it that often enough. So for today's feature, I'm going to be reviewing Bruce, King of Kung Fu, which was released in 1982. So yeah, it's one of those films that we're supposed to believe that, the legendary Bruce Lee is still around, like he's the main character of the movie, and that's him, apparently. But you're supposed to pretend, of course. But okay, whatever, I guess. Yeah, here's the thing, though. If you look the movie up, it says it was released in 1980, which I have to say is actually kind of bizarre, considering the fact if you look at the DVD set I have right here, folks. Yeah, and if you look at it, just turn it around and just look in the back, it would say 1982 as well. But then, if you look at some areas, it would say 1986. I mean, what? Did the copyright expire or something and just got renewed? This seems weird. Anyway, folks, that's confusing. So anyway, of course, as usual, I do have to talk about the plot. And let's just dive right into it. Of course, this film was quote unquote inspired by Bruce Lee and attempts to tell his life story, so to speak, and the journey that he had to go through, of course. Well, what's going on through the movies that, yeah, we supposedly see this young Bruce Lee, and he wants to pretty much perfect this fighting style so he can be the best of the best of the best when it comes to martial arts, of course. And obviously, he's not going to come off that easy, of course, because there's a catch. What I mean is that he does continuously get into fights by other people of Kung Fu, like the students from schools or whatever. And they seem to be, jealous of what he's capable of doing and the way he seems to be learning this kind of thing rather fast. So, yeah, he does have this ability and whatnot to actually get really good at what he's doing. And of course, it's it's not gonna come easy because he just wants to learn and perfect his finest style. But obviously, people want to pick on him. Yeah, he's supposed to be this young teenager who's the leader of this city gang and whatnot, who gets into trouble and street fights every now and again. So he is a student of this Chinese boxing style, and he does learn that kind of. However, the thing is that it just seems that his skills are not enough to fend off a rival kung fu gang. Yeah, you heard me right. So his father has him to go to a man whom is a master, of course, and he's this individual teaching him some sort of fighting style, of course. But the thing is that we get to see he also wants to avenge the death of a friend, of course. We're going really on the friendship kind of a thing. So he makes it his personal mission to learn the secret art of this kind of fighting style. So yeah, of course, this does get pretty damn crazy as it goes. Pretty much what's going on here is that the lead character who wants to do the right thing and fight for justice and whatnot, of course, for decency. This seems to be a common thing in a lot of the kung fu movies I've seen over the years. I mean, okay, it doesn't ring true for every single one that I've seen, but it seems to be a common character type in a lot of these movies I've seen, which I don't mind really. I guess it's supposed to be one of those kinds of things that you want to cheer for the main character, which is fine, of course. But it just goes along with that, obviously. Of course, you're going to see him as such to be such a great guy and do what's right and know what is wrong so he can avoid those bad things from doing, of course. So yeah, this film is not meant to be taken literally, of course. Okay, that doesn't really need to be said, but whatever. But yeah, you get to see him going through and through on what needs to be taken care of course. So yeah, we get to see our main character and spend some time in Hong Kong. Here, he does spend a good amount of time training in various fighting styles, of course. Some of which, I guess, it's trying to mimic the fighting style that the real Bruce Lee actually trained in, I guess, before finding himself in a battle between like a rival gangs of school students or whatever. So who considered the fighting style to be much better? And then, of course, as you expect, lots of fighting would be taken into account with lots of fast-paced action and whatnot. And that's basically the summary of what's going on in this movie. Well, Bruce Lee, of course, has to do what he has to do and just defeat the bad people in town, of course. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, of course. That we're saying it's really straightforward, of course, folks. That doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, of course, obviously. But yeah, we get to see that it's definitely well choreographed. That's for sure. The fight scenes are definitely well choreographed, which is of course highly appreciated, considering the fact that this is supposed to be a kung fu movie after all. So there's that. So the actor who plays the main character does help to showcase his talent here for good thing here, folks. Of course. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, obviously. So the way this film and choreographed its fight scenes definitely displays the way that the main character, the guy who plays the main character, it really displays how he can fight really well throughout various locations. And that's the thing, the fighting does not get boring really. It takes place in a number of areas throughout the entire story. And a number of locations, so I guess so that the fighting can come off refreshing in some ways. I guess if it's done right, it can be pretty interesting to look at. So there's that. At the end of the day, if you want a Bruce Lee kind of movie, or you just want to see a good martial arts film, then I would say look no further, because I would definitely recommend this movie because it's a pretty good film. I like the what they were going for, the overall story. It's pretty straightforward. It's very fast paced. So not a single moment throughout the entire movie I was bored. And yes, of course, this goes all without saying. This is the American dubbed version of the movie. As I've said multiple times before, getting the actual uncut versions of a lot of the foreign movies I reviewed in this channel is definitely a pain in the ass. And at times when you do have the opportunity to find it, it may cost a lot of money. Oy. I mean, there's a rare exception where it doesn't. There's a fairly decent price. But point being, to locate the unedited versions of these movies can be rather hard to come by, honestly, here. But, oh well. Make do with what I can get, I guess, for the time being, I suppose. So, yeah, there's that. Well, anyway, dubbing isn't particularly great in this, but then, yeah, they hardly ever are at times. I mean, there's some dubbing in this genre that's actually pretty nice, I guess, pretty decent. But if that doesn't bother you too much, I guess it'll be fine. It didn't bother me that much, really. So anyway, for this film, I would say I enjoyed it. I liked the overall story for what it's worth, I guess, because it's pretty straightforward. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, really, because sometimes keeping it simple is better. And not that I don't mind a complex story, really. I'm just saying. but sometimes simpler is better. And that's what definitely, in a lot of ways, makes this film work because it's pretty straightforward in a lot of ways. But I can say that this, even in the other scenes when there's no fighting, it's definitely even well choreographed. Even then, so yeah, that's something. Yeah, at the end of the day, I really did enjoy this film. That's a lot more than I can say about this sorry sack of shit. Oh, that's definitely one of the worst films I've ever seen. Holy fuck, it was bad. Anyway, I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed what was going on here. So, the thing is that I know these old martial arts films may not be everybody's cup of tea because they're old, but that's the thing. I prefer the old school kung fu features, and this just comes off a lot of ways that have more heart put into it. And yeah, and I can definitely say I did like what was done in this one, folks. So overall, I enjoy the high, high energy, fast paced action film of this movie because of the story and the overall idea, the premise and whatnot. So I definitely would recommend this one, folks. I'll give it an overall rating of a 7.0 out of 10. You can take 7.010 for me. And as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah. Later. Yes, sirree.